probably New Orleans this weekend.
Yeah.
And that means the Steelers would then have to play out the rest of the two games, and you get injuries. These things add up. I like to have like a nice a week 16, week 17 bye, while the rest of these teams like the Ravens and the Raiders might be losing again tonight, but whoever is battling to the death, beating the heck out of each other while Ben Roethlisberger's on the sidelines watching Mason Rudolph play his last game in black and gold.
God willing.
I listened to Pittsburgh radio today for about an hour, and they're talking about Sam Darnold maybe coming to the Steelers when he's done with his
I could see that next year. I could see that being a possibility.
You know what? I'm watching Mariota. He's only 2 years older than Darnold. He just took the field. He just dropped a dime touchdown pass down the sideline to Waller. I never seen. He's won 75 games in his career. He's done much more in his career than Darnold. I mean, I know Mariota. He looks a little thinner. He looks active. He runs around. That you could do worse than having that guy as your quarterback if Ben was done.
There's no doubt that you could. I've always been, and I know it didn't pan out the way that he had planned in Tennessee, but I have always been a Mariota guy. And that basically stems from what he's always been about. And I had a friend who used to be with the Titans and was there when they kind of worked him out, and just how much respect everybody had for him. Not with the Titans at the time. They did later as they drafted him. But this was at Oregon when they were working him out. Yeah. This was up at Oregon.
I was watching the game before I got in the car to come to work, and Mariota was the quarterback at Oregon before Hebert, and now they were both friends. He mentored Hebert, and here they are back on the same field. I mean, I'm wondering if that ever happened before, where back-to-back quarterbacks in the NFL on a college team were both playing a game against each other in the NFL. It must be pretty rare.
In fact, it happened last week with Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray.
Speaking of things that have ever happened, can you tell me if there's ever been a time in an NFL season where a division, the NFC East, had 4 backup quarterbacks starting their game? Some of them even third string.
Oh, wow.
Think about that. Not one starting quarterback is starting in the division this week.
I can't imagine that it's ever happened. I mean, at one point Haskins was the starter, but, I guess you'd have to consider it that. No, he's not. He's not. But I guess you'd have to consider it that. But listen, Danny, I mean, I think that, for me, back to the Steelers for 1 second.
Sure.
You sound like
I'm working till 2 o'clock tomorrow. I'm working till 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Talk away.
You sounded like Ben earlier, because Ben was basically saying the same thing. Everybody just relax and take a deep breath. And to me, that makes me think of Kevin Bacon in Animal House in the middle of the street while they're looting the Food King. Everybody just relax.
During the parade. Yeah. This is going to be great. One of the great scenes of all, one of the great movies of all the time, by the way.
Oh, absolutely.
No, listen, I listen to the Pittsburgh ESPN radio during the day sometimes. The two guys who run the show, Touch Ilkin and Wolfley, both offensive linemen.
Yep.
They're beyond complex that the Steelers are not running linemen out of 3-point stances. They're not using a fullback. Ben's running out of shotgun, where you're handing the ball to a slow-footed Benny Snell, who's standing still 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage, instead of handing the ball, snapping under center, and handing the ball off to a running back who's running full speed ahead right into the line. It doesn't make any sense to them. They need to go back to it worked for 150 years in football. Why it doesn't work anymore, I don't know. And he said it best. When the quarterback is under center, he turns his back to the defense with the ball. And that scares the living daylights out of the defense, because when you can't see the ball, you have to freeze. Or you have to make a decision, which is that 50% chance you're wrong. So I love going under center. I don't understand the shotgun runs. But I'd rather
a lot of people have always had problems with it. And listen, I don't have as much of an issue with it. I have an issue with it in short yardage. That's where I have the biggest problem with it. Because I want the guy – I hate it in short yardage, Danny, and thanks for the call, because I want the guy running forward with a head full of steam as he's hitting the line or hitting the hole. I don't want him just starting with a half a second – step where he's already behind. That's not what I want to see. It's funny as a Steelers fan, and I don't get into this too much, I have a bad feeling about that team right now, just about the way that this is unfolded. And I had a bad feeling for several weeks that it was going to fall apart. And Danny was actually the one who was right about it falling apart against Washington. I didn't buy into the Redskins or the football team until that really, and really not until the following week too, with as well as they're playing. But that's pretty much what's happened is the Steelers have fallen apart a little bit, and I would find that concerning. I do find that concerning because they look like a team that could get knocked out in the first round easy if they don't have that bye. 800-919-3776. Couple of minutes left to get in a couple of calls. I also wanted to get in a few of those tweets. Fittingly enough, I lost internet for about a half a second, and that did not help the cause with everything as far as in front of me on my screen. But there were a couple of tweets I wanted to get into, and this was about the idea of Lincoln Riley being the Jets' next head coach. I think it's perfect. I think it's absolutely ideal. It's a young, innovative, offensive-minded coach who would be very attractive to somebody like Trevor Lawrence to want to go and play for the Jets. That would be perfect. And somebody that has brought along the likes of Murray, the likes of Mayfield, and Jalen Hurts, who, by the way, is now starting in Philadelphia. You know, that's a guy who knows how to get the most out of his quarterbacks. He's got Spencer Rattler this year, who I've never heard of him before this year. And he's got 24 touchdowns, 7 picks. And those were the very, very, very low-end numbers of the quarterbacks that he's had playing for him. So this was in response to the idea of him leaving Oklahoma and coming here. And this was New York sports fan 1960. He's not leaving Oklahoma for the Jets. No way. He's going to wait until a better job comes up. Yes, you get Lawrence, but the rest of the team needs a major rebuild. He can make the same money and pick his own players and not deal with what comes up coaching in New York. Don't you get it, though? He and Joe Douglas can pick their players here and work together with that. With all the draft picks that they have the next couple of years, and they're going to get more when they trade away Darnold, and having Lawrence, and all of the money that they have to spend. As hard as this is to accept, it was like the story I was telling earlier. You know, a woman being infatuated with me. That doesn't happen. The Jets being a great situation for a head coach to want to be in. That doesn't happen. And I get where you're uncomfortable with it. But it's true. It is a great situation for whoever the next head coach is. That does it for me. Jacob Perry, outstanding. Lawrence Hardesty up next. ESPN New York tonight. Stay handsome. Carlin out.
At the Total Wireless store, we know those big.
Thank you, Carlin. Have a great weekend.
All right, you too, Jacob. Thanks.
All right, I'll see you probably Tuesday.